So I began my life in Duluth, Minnesota, where I was raised. Uh, Eventually, I went to school, to undergraduate school, to UW Superior, where I became an art major, primarily painting and drawing. Um, I eventually went on to graduate school at UW Milwaukee, and completed again painting and drawing degree, a master's of painting and drawing, and it was there at UW Milwaukee that I was given the opportunity to teach freshman drawing classes, and I really enjoyed teaching a lot, and so as well as pursuing my own studio art, I also got a degree in education, and for several years I taught in the Milwaukee Public Schools, and I'm now teaching in the Sheboygan Area School District. I teach at, I've taught at a variety of schools, Urban Middle School, Sheboygan North High, and I'm one of the founding teachers of the Etude High School. And then next year I'll be one of the founding members of Ideas Academy High School. So the work I do, which you may have seen around at places like the Weather Center or the Z-Spot Cafe, also at the Paradigm Cafe. The work, I began this sort of format in 1992, and it came out of a exhibit that I saw that was put on by the Museum of Modern Art in New York, but it traveled to Chicago, and it was called High and Low. And the part of the show that really grabbed me was a part about comic strips, and they featured artists like Jasper Johns and his early painting Alley Oop. They showed artists that worked that were fine artists but used comic strip format. Someone like Roy Lichtenstein comes to mind. They also featured artists who were more from the comic illustrator background, but they sort of transcended into being fine artists. And in that case, there was people like Saul Steinberg, who did a lot of work for the New Yorker magazine, and also George Harriman, who created the comic strip Crazy Cat. And all those works together, I thought a lot about the works, and I actually was going to start my own comic strip, and then one day I happened to see a big pile of boards, and when I got home I started thinking about those boards, and I thought I could make comic strips on boards. And so basically they're really paintings. There's not like a punchline, there's not a real sequential narrative, but the format of different panels put together with kind of suggesting one scene to the next. There's a suggestion of a narrative. That's what got me going on that series, which I, like I say, I've kind of pursued over the years. Sometimes they become a little less comic strip oriented, and for a while I was painting on cable reels, the big large wooden reels, and a little bit like this is actually a tabletop. And those works, I was influenced a lot also by Asian art, like Hindu, Buddhist, Tibetan art, where sort of a mandala kind of format, and so I kind of created my own sort of idiosyncratic mandalas. I work a lot with a kind of stream of consciousness sort of way of working. I'm willing to have different images, kind of disparate images, sort of meet up in this field. I'm very influenced by, for instance, Bob Dylan and his way of just creating various images, and you kind of bounce from one situation to another, and I kind of put that into my painting. Because the way I work is I first kind of assemble different boards together, and I might look for certain things like knots or irregularities in the wood. Sometimes I go to Menards or to their wood bins, and I actually look for a lot of the wood that most carpenters would reject. I like when I get the pieces of wood that are a little closer to the bark of the tree, and like I say, there's lots of different knots and the different coloring and things like that. I begin the paintings by staining with acrylic paint, but a real watered down acrylic, and it's just to get a better look at that wood grain. And it's, the process is a little bit like, someone looking up at the sky and looking at clouds and saying, oh, that one looks like a cow and that one looks like a dog or whatever. It's a little bit like that, where certain images, certain objects start to appear to me as I develop, and then I'll try and accentuate those. A lot of times I like to work with just ordinary things. There's things like everyday objects like a spoon or eyes seem to pop up a lot in the paintings because I think a lot about vision. But a lot of times if you look at wood, if there's a knot in the wood, it does have a kind of eye like thing going on. This one, you get an octopus for, and I like to play with wording, and I throw in a dialogue balloon from time to time. So those are pretty reoccurring kinds of things. But again, that refers back to that comic strip kind of motif. I guess the most challenging is to find the time to really, be able to work. And most of these paintings I take, months to work on them, and I have to get into a kind of flow. And sometimes it's just hard to mainly get into that flow. It's something I think it's good. It works best when you can work at a regular kind of basis, and then, like I say, where you have some time and you can kind of just get lost in the work. And so I can't always afford to do that. But that being said, I'm really, as an educator, I'm really interested in the human mind and how we work and think, and how we put ideas together, and mainly, the things that are in my paintings, they're all my life experiences. And they just sort of come out as I find this process to work. I guess the reward is a sense of getting to know myself better. That I think that there's just a lot that our mind does besides just the everyday survival kinds of things that give us a bigger connection to why we're here. And it's I guess it's really gratifying when you're able to exhibit things. And I've had some people tell me they've had some powerful experiences looking at the work, and that's certainly very gratifying. It doesn't happen every day, but from time to time I've had people that said that they and it's generally when they spend a good deal of time with the work, rather than just a quick look. I also will be the following month showing some pieces at the inaugural show for FJ Projects here in Sheboygan on 6th and Erie, and also I'll be having a solo show there in June. Besides that, I'm hoping to set up some other venues to show my work around town, possibly in Sheboygan, maybe Milwaukee and Oshkosh. I'll keep you posted on that.